But building was my passion, and I'd done lots of building opportunities and different things for other people in the years. But the creativity side of doing barns is what I had a passion for from when I first started building when I left school. This was a big project because it was quite a big building. It was a big undertaking, and I run it alongside also doing work for other people. So it was mainly done at holiday times and weekends, and over a period of a couple of years before we actually moved into it. I think it was to try and keep a modern type, nice clean lines, that type of thing, but retain the character of the roof structure and the fabrication of the building so it didn't lose its identity as a barn. So we went for keeping certain timber type doors and wooden features and tiled floors right through, simply because we're in an area where we're surrounded by fields. So yes, it's nice and dry in the summer, but you get the mud in the winter, so being able to keep it tidy and clean and that sort of thing. We went for the more harder type surfaces for the floor side. We hadn't got the luxury of being able to have scaffolding up and fork trucks around, everything had to be carried in, so it was all physically brick by brick, all the internal walls, all the timbers, all the studding, all the flooring, everything had to physically come through one doorway and be carried in and carried up the stairs and up ladders before we had stairs put in, and all the concrete had to be barred in and all that type of thing. So we had a lot of manual labour side, what was probably more intensive than you would do with like a new build house where you can get all around it and that type of thing. It was literally a cow shed when we bought it. The cows were still in it eating hay when we came and viewed the place, so it goes that far back. It was literally 4 walls really when we started. We had to take all the internals of the cow sheds out and break all them out and dig footings inside for internal walls and concretes and drainage and everything. So it was a big undertaking. It was a hearty task, enjoyable, and this will stand a lot longer than I'll be living at the end of the day. So we've left something here. But as regards to a new house, be very clinical. Although this is newer inside, we've retained that character features of the actual barn, and it doesn't look like a brand new house, and that was important for me to do that. That was what I wanted, the look that I was trying to achieve. We had hiccups along the way, like I say, and obviously this financial side of things. The purchase was a big amount of money for anybody, and then we had a percentage of money that we'd saved on the purchase price, so we had a budget to start off buying the raw materials and that type of thing. But then the labour costs as well wasn't so much our time, and there was a lot of family members who we used to come on a weekend. There'd be like 6 or 7 of us here on a weekend doing different aspects of it, and without their support we wouldn't have been able to achieve it, and they gave up their time, and it almost become like a pet project for a group of us for a few years, with my dad who's now in his 70s and my Uncle John who's in his 80s now, but it used to get him here on a weekend and it gave them something to look forward to, from a point of view, and obviously the same thing if they'd never been involved with a job of this scale or anything in their life. So from a natural point of view of the enthusiasm to do it and all that type of thing, yes, they weren't necessarily that physically able at that age, but the knowledge and their input was priceless. I think the barn was always going to be, in my mind, I would set it out to be. The only issues you get really is just running short of money. You want maybe a certain type of look that's 3 times more expensive than what you'd planned for, and that type of thing, like kitchens. You could run away with a fortune with kitchens. You could spend £20,000 on a kitchen, or you could spend £5,000 on a kitchen. So when you go the middle of the road somewhere and that type of thing. And same with like floor tiles. You might see some what you think, well, they're really nice, but they're far too expensive really for the type of house, or it would look out of character. Putting marble floors down would have looked terrible. But we had some Italian ceramic tiles that we put down on the floors, and they worked out a treat. It's achieved the look that we wanted to achieve. So that in itself takes time, just sourcing the right material. When you're out buying it, you've got to have that image in your head of what it's going to look like. Are they going to look in character with the barn? Is it going to be in keeping? Because that's, again, the key part with any of these things is to maintain that character, and you can't get that with a new house. I think it's been a lifetime ambition by lots of people really to try and achieve something of this, which I have had the privilege of being able to do in my life. Whether I'd tackle another one is a different question. probably would, down to my nature, but I'm quite happy. I really love living here, and I think until somebody's actually gone through that process of creating something themselves, you know, they won't enjoy. I mean, everybody loves a new house, but physically doing it with your own hands and everything else gives you a different sort of satisfaction. Anybody who was to undertake a project like this, or, you know, building a new house from scratch, I think everybody goes through a roller coaster of emotion, certainly from the aspects of the planning side of things, trying to get what you want. If you can't get what you want all the time, how you compromise. And certainly from a financial point of view, you know, whatever budget you think you've got in your mind, it'll go over, plus more, plus more, plus more. And the longer you stay in a location, obviously the upkeep and things still cost money. But would I do it again? Yes, I probably would.